Hello, my name is Georgi, part of Digiburn's team, and today I'm sitting here together with Georgi to talk about Digiburn, our personal incentive, our personal motives, what do we do, and most importantly, why do we do what we do. Without further ado, Georgi, hi, nice to have you here.
Yes, thank you. Thanks for having me, Georgi. And I'm glad to be here and to be able to share these other aspects of maybe some of the uh, things when we talk about Digiburn that is are left more or less in the background or is not yet so much highlighted. So I'm glad that we're doing this interview together.
So we are here today to discuss a little bit more on the personal side of things. We have been working on Digiburn and the burnout treatment already for 2 years, and a lot has been already taught about the journey, the technology, our aspirations, and so on. However, at the end of the day, it's all about people. So, Georgi, I would be very grateful to find out a little bit more about yourself.
Oh, fantastic. Maybe we should arrange it around my experience with burnout because maybe I'm a proud triumphant as we have most of our guests and in the other series that we talk about it. But I was so good at it that I even managed to burn up twice. Yeah, and at a fairly early age because my first experience was I was maybe around the end of high school, my senior in high school. So my last year actually in high school that I was able to experience my first burnout due to excessively focusing on my university exams and final exams and so forth. So I was able to hit it back then, and around that time there was not so much information or awareness about the topic. So it was really interesting to experience that and also to integrate it later on. But I don't want to get so much in detail in that because the topic of the conversation is more or less based on our person, as you said, our personal motives in starting this. So I don't want to get into the whole story. But my second time was actually I was already a university student again with the final exams, and I was able maybe 3 or 4 years later to burn out again, this time big time in a big way. But I'm so now I'm able to be grateful about these two events because they taught me so much, and I was able to grow so much from them in terms of personal awareness, also um, to actually redefine my identity as a professional, as a what my true aspirations are, what my true values are, what I'm really after. Also to be more open towards recognizing and discovering my limitations, my fears, and so forth. So it was really in that sense a blessing for me because shouldn't these events had happened, I wouldn't be able to have the same level of awareness that I have today. And also I'm using this now as a inspiration to be able to carry forward and be in some way or some let's how say some way or somehow be of benefit for other people experiencing the same, because I'm able to understand it from experience, not from information or some kind of a statistics and so forth. So that was really benefit and beneficial is maybe a lousy word for what it was, or for me. So truly a blessing to be able to have this kind of awareness that I have now, and also be helpful for others.
Beautiful. Thanks. Maybe, just maybe, would make sense to also say who is doing what. So Georgi Kolev is basically our behavioral lead and is actively involved in creating the entire journey and algorithm through which the user gets to reinvent her or himself. And myself, I'm leading the project. So with this in mind, and before we jump into how and what of the journey and the benefits, I would actually use the word values as an anchoring point. So,
Mm.
uh, how do values reflect who you are and what do you do nowadays?
Oh, in terms of my values.
Absolutely.
Oh, well, they've changed a lot since then, since the first episode that I had with burnout. But um, they are also changing because we are journeying through life. So they are meant to change. We are here to evolve and grow. In my belief, so the values are dynamic thing. They're not fixed, and also they reflect who we are because our values actually shape our decisions and therefore our behavior. So in that sense, they govern everything that I do and all the projects that I'm involved and the way I'm interacting with them, my role and so forth. So they're shaping everything, especially professionally for me, in a professional sense, that I'm involved with. In terms of Digiburn, as I mentioned, one of my leading values is growth. So I was able to grow so much from that experience. And now, other thing that I'm really inspired by is to be able to contribute to other people that are experiencing the same or are in a progressive way about to hit burnout. So our approach there, as you know, is more of a preventive or prophylactically based in order to integrate that invitation for growth that they received from from life and not necessarily hit the full-blown syndrome. So these are my one of two leading values that are shaping my motivation behind this project and my participation in it,
Mhm.
in order to be able to shape and reframe the whole experience as a growth based one or growth centric one, and to be able to showcase the people that are going through it, how they can grow from it and what they can learn, how can they transform and advance for better. um, and the other thing is to be able to contribute to them.
Mm.
So these are my two top values that are involved here.
Brilliant. So, you mentioned growth on a couple of occasions.
Mm.
Is it possible to grow out of the process of burning out before you actually hit the wall?
Yes, I know it. I'm confident to say I know it is because I have, since my second time around.
The,
Um,
the better one.
yeah, yeah. I have also I've been on the road to hitting for a third to hit it for the third time. So and not on one occasion, but I was able to. First, be aware of what's happening. Second, be courageous and bold enough to and also humble enough to admit it, to recognize it, and to be able to integrate it before hitting the full blown version of the syndrome. So yes, it is possible to have that growth experience, because it is, in my opinion, and I also like to view it this way, it is an invitation for growth.
Mm.
The whole symptoms are actually um, guiding us to see and to spot those limitations, to see these limiting patterns and repetitive thoughts and um, let's say behaviors that are counterproductive, self-sabotaging activities and so forth, that are leading towards this, to spot it and to see the limitations in order to outgrow them. So it is possible. I believe also with the proper guidance, it's much more easier. Nowadays it's available much more widely and accessible than it didn't was, because for me my first time around was about 2008, 7, 8. So there wasn't really that much sources back then. There, YouTube was in a primal form. There were no well established forums or accessible information and topics, let alone digital therapies and so forth. So now it's much more easier to transform and to grow before hitting uh, the end point.
All right. Well, let's hope this it holds valid for everybody. And essentially, we are working for a burnout-free society. So, It's a big mission. But listening to you, you already touched base a little bit. Maybe tell us about Digiburn. What is the process? Why is it helpful?
Oh, it's helpful on so many layers and levels, but to put it this way, I want to go back because the purpose behind this conversation is actually to show the human side of Digiburn. Although it's a digital therapy, although it's also digital based solution, and rooted in technology, uh, it's actually uses technology to serve the people, because it's done by people for people, and we want to showcase the human side of it, the people side of it, and how it works, and why it works more. It's more important because it's for us, especially in the therapeutic area, the team that I'm so humbled and excited to be able to lead, and that we are creating the therapeutic model from created the therapeutic model from scratch and continuously evolving it. For us, it isn't just a statistic. It's not mm, how to put it, a virtue that we go to in order to make a successful business and so forth, although we have that aspect as well, but it's something personal. As I mentioned, we have an experiential reference point to it. When we say burnout, I'm not talking about a textbook definition. I'm speaking from experience. I've been there twice. Also, the team has been working because our team is the therapeutic team is I'm careful with my and mine, as you can tell how burnout transformed me in that way as well. But the team is with psychologists and psychology students and people who are really living it. They're not. It's not just that we not that and there is anything wrong with the textbook definition and scientific approach to it, but when you have experience yourself, the way you approach it is absolutely different. So one thing is we do live it, and also we care about the people that we're doing it. It's not, as I mentioned, it's not only focus on the business model of things or to make it approachable and technically savvy and digitally available. Although that aspect is there, our main core motivation, our main core inspiration behind this is also to be able to contribute to others. So that's why I know it is helpful. And the other part, as I mentioned, it's in on so many layers. Mm, the people element, I believe, is leading here, and it's most important in its value. The other aspect, really important, is the digital format, because it's widely accessible, and also it is adapted towards, or more suitable word is customized or suited for our world today, because everybody is using a cell phone, everybody has access to it, and it's much more easier when let's say the therapist is in your pocket, rather than you have to book an appointment, wait in a waiting list for 6 months, and all the other limitations that it poses, the standard model of treating. And also, I do believe our approach has limitations as well, but providing so much additional benefit and value in that area, I believe it's one of them. The other behind the after the people that are doing this, the digital format is the other super beneficial aspect of it. And of course, the third one, I will not leave it although I'm saying it last, it's not last in value. It's done by experts, because, as I've mentioned, we have clinical psychologists, we have behavioral psychologists. Me myself, I'm also super interested in have a different experience both in practical psychology and also organizational behavior, which is really close to managing the factors of the organizational culture, leading or creating an environment that are more susceptible to burnout. So these three areas, first done from people that care, with the intent to contribute. The second one, the digital format and the technological benefits that provides in that sense. And also the third one is done by experts, not only because it's one thing to care and it's wonderful, but if you don't have the professional tools to help you, again, your intent is beautiful, but your ability to contribute would be limited.
Thank you. And since you've been mentioning a couple of times about the human element and human touch,
Mm.
and you're also the first of our team to go out and share some thoughts on the human aspect. How does the team how does the team work together? What was the secret sauce of this specific team?
Hmm. Well, I believe it was really the vision, because that is the main thing that really inspired us to do. Because, as you know, we'll be sharing some things from the kitchen here, and some inside group dynamics and so forth. But as we decided to um, reframe the application of Digiburn more towards therapeutic one rather than solely a lifestyle oriented app. We rearranged everything in that direction, and also the vision that we have to create something of value that is suited for a problem that currently, I just read the data today about 2011, about the UK labor market, and how 47%, nearly 47%, are in a you know what high risk means, but for our audience, high risk is literally just a step away from burning out. So 47% of the whole workforce in 2011, I believe the moment is around November or December, but the data was averaged for 2011. Was at 47% was at high risk of burnout. That means that the problem, every other person in that sense, every other working person is at high risk at burnout. So the problem is widespread, no doubt about it. So it is super intensified. Can you imagine what the numbers of 2022 right now, with all that's happening in the world, especially in Europe, are going to be, with all that uncertainty, with all that stress factors outside the working environment, and combine that with the business challenges. um,
2021 then.
yeah. So I don't want to emphasize on the problem. Just mentioning that it is serious, it is widespread, and it is in a need for solutions. So the traditional method, it's limited and it's not going to work on a wider scale. And that was the vision, that we are able to create something that is going to at least try to tackle all these problems in a way that really can make a difference. And that is the vision we still have today, and I'm so glad to see that vision turning to reality step by step.
Amazing. So 2021, around half of the
Yeah.
population being in high risk
Hmm.
area.
Hmm.
Okay. And are there any factors or are there any trends to be expected following 21?
Well, as I mentioned, when we see there is a clear correlation between the stress factors in the outside the working environment and also the burnout cases, but the correlation within the organization, and the more or less the environmental factors within the organizational culture are much more closely correlated to the burnout status of the organization. But outside of it, of course, because we saw this with COVID. You remember we discussed it in 2020. We discussed it earlier that we saw in a month. This is with the survey done with the U.S. companies. In a month between February and March 2020, we saw 100%. That's double increase in the number of burnout cases, clinically defined burnout cases. So uh, remember what happened, and everybody, I believe, remembers what happened in March 2020 globally. So the more stress factors that are outside the working environment and in society increase, the more the higher risk of burnout will be, and also the higher need for the organizations and especially the management to take in consideration and um, make adjustments within the organizational culture in order to make people more
Mm.
resilient and burnout, let's say burnout resilient. Okay, let's put it that way.
Burnout resilient.
Mm,
Okay, so we've mentioned the corporations.
mm,
They're obviously highly interested and definitely capable of undertaking certain steps to support their employees, their stars, their colleagues.
mm.
However, let's get back to the individual. So,
Okay.
um, if we focus on the end, let's say end user,
Mhm,
um, what is the guiding value? How do we empower people? Why do we believe that what we have is
mhm.
actually gonna help?
Oh, uh, well, first, as I mentioned, it's based on designed by experience, firstly, and then by theoretical models and so forth. So everything was filtered out in that regard. Because I've used it, for example, with tools that help myself to recover. And also after, how many interviews we already did with people who experienced it and recover successfully. And we've done a research in maybe thousands of cases, what had worked actually, and also what could potentially have the value to work as well. Also the potential to be valuable as well. So we filtered everything out. We structured it in a really holistic way. So when we talk about our therapeutic approach, we have to have that in mind because it's holistic, experience based, and also we rely heavily on the feedback that we receive from the patients in order to continuously improve it.
Mm.
So it's adaptable, holistic, and really close to the patient. That is the other thing, is we really listen and observe the data that is coming and continuously evolve it.
Mm.
And the way we structured it, because I'm only gonna mention the three way approach that we have, because I don't want to turn this into the model discussion and bore everyone with the technical terms and everything behind it. But we structured it in a way that it really guides the patient um, through different stages of awareness and recovery. Because recovery, especially from burnout, it's not that first of all, it's not easy. Second, it requires time and also a commitment to recovery. uh, it's a process. So that's why we structured it in 12 weeks, not in 1 week, for example, because it's not going to work. As I mentioned, we are rooted in experience and commitment towards real results, not only something that is going to provide some temporary relief. We are not tackling the symptom, we're after the reason behind it. We are the want to really address the root reason behind the syndrome. So that's why I structured in 12 weeks, three separate modules. The first one is aimed, we called it body, because it's mainly aimed at factors that are within the easiest control of the patient that is going through it. So here we have things like nutrition, breathing, exercise, physical activity, and all these different areas of little realizations, and also practical exercises in order for the patient to gain experience in it, and also confidence, and serve as a base for the transformation that will be needed afterwards. So the first module of the therapy, the first 4 weeks, are only working with the body. The second one is, we call it mind. It's more aimed towards our habits, our patterns of thinking and mm, limiting beliefs. Okay, just beliefs. We're gonna I don't want to give away what's inside. So the second module is actually aimed towards realization of our thinking patterns, repetitive thoughts, and so forth. And the really cool practical they're cool, but they also work. So beneficial practical tools that the patient can use in order to transform it and to design the ways of new ways of thinking. And the third one is actually, as you know, my favorite, but it's not possible without the first two, and that's why we leave it for last, because it's much more powerful than the others. It's transformation, growth, as we name it in the app. The growth phase is actually as you already have a stable enough base for change, with one leg being rooted in the body and the other in the mind, and all the little transformations that the patient has done in both areas. Now it has the real power to take back responsibility and control about the things that he or she can control, and stop stressing about other things that are outside control of their control area, or okay, let's say control possibility. So take this into consideration and use it as a fuel to empower their transformation. And that's how the journey of transforming and learning from this ends. And also it serves as a base to continuously improve, and people, the patient can go back and uh, relearn some of the information or revisit, because it's a life process. That's why we structure it for 12 weeks.
Thanks. And am I at risk after finalizing my journey? How do I continue after those 3 months?
Oh, well, that's a really nice question. It depends. It depends, because it will definitely provide. Should the patient go successfully throughout the app and just the exercises and so forth. So it will provide a really really mm, high probability of recovery. And also afterwards, yes, there are factors, but I would say with the tools of different awarenesses that you gather from going through the process, your personal risk will decrease, even though it will be mm, within the same risk factors. The probability of burning out for the person who went through the therapy, I strongly believe it will go down significantly. So that's the reason behind it, because you have to, as I've mentioned, I myself almost burned out for the third time. And the even though the challenges from the environment and that I set myself in were much higher than before, I was able to spot my again limiting beliefs about it, and my um, mm, behaviors that were not in my best interest, and I was able to spot it and transform it and use it in order to build on resilience and not burn out for the third time.
Beautiful. And coming back to yourself and approaching towards the end of our conversation here, what is what would you like to share with the audience? What would you like to share from deep inside you? What would be your personal, let's say, call to action or message that you would like to share and show who you are and what you stand for?
Fantastic question. Thank you. What would I like to share? Maybe the main message here, in also our conversation, I would like to be highlighted by this is the real realization. It's really tough one. It requires a lot of courage and another humility to be able to uh, get to that point. But this is that the burnout itself is not a um, limitation. It is not, as you mentioned, as you maybe remember, we had the idea of to call the interviews, that the interview series that we did, burnout survivors, and then we transform it to burnout triumphants, because as an experience, it's really a blessing. I'm speechless about it, how much it contribute to my growth, my ability to experience life at such deep levels and in such profanity, that it's really unmatched. I owe so much to that experience, both of them, that I really want to stress out this point heavily, and also invite everyone not to believe me, but try to invite this idea of reframing the what's going on. If you're especially someone who is experiencing symptoms of burnout or have experienced the full-blown syndrome as well, to view it as an opportunity for growth, and also as a gift, an invitation from life, not trying to get rid of the symptoms fast and quickly, and run away from it, or put it down, or try to mask it with other, let's say.
Sweep it under the carpet.
Yeah, and also
Nobody saw it.
yeah, like it isn't there. No, it's not easy. I grant you that for sure. It's not easy, but this is the real recovery's way. This is the real path towards recovery. You cannot make the symptoms go away. When you understand the reason behind it and transform, then there are no need for the symptoms as well.
Absolutely. So maybe building on top of what Georgi just said, yeah, let's have a look deep inside us. We have the needed answers. Let's face it, it is an invitation for change and an invitation for growth. No, it's not a goal. It's not something that anybody should be aiming at. However, given we have the symptoms, let's grab on the opportunity and make most out of it. With Digiburn, all of us are highly driven for enabling individuals to find their own answers, to improve their awareness, and essentially to build those, as Georgi already brilliantly explained, to find better thinking patterns and habits for long-term sustainable well-being and life of fulfillment. So with this, I'd like to express my deep gratitude for having people like Georgi in the team, for having the opportunity to do great things together. And essentially, everything we do is people driven. We are living persons, two
Mm.
out of over 10 people in the team already, each of us being highly individual, very different, as you can also see based on our even our clothing here today. We are a bunch of highly diverse, multifaceted, colorful, different people who are absolutely determined and driven to find a holistic, patient centric approach for solving the burnout syndrome at a very early stage, long before you hit the wall. Uh, but still enabling you to take most out of it without the need of hitting the wall,
Mm.
enabling you to gain more awareness and to be a happy person,
Mm.
essentially, right?
I would say, uh, be a full person, real
Full
person. Yeah,
person.
because happiness is just a one expression of it. But
Half of the story.
yeah. Be invite everything. Everything is needed. That is part of my realization with the burnout as well. Everything is needed. Don't try to squash it. Don't try to run away from it. Invite it, and give it a chance to learn from it, and live it. This is it. Live it. And also, don't believe a word we say. Test it, try it, uh, experience with it, experiment with it, and then use it as a tool for growth, and essentially live.
Georgi, thank you so much
Thank you
for being
too.
here, for opening your soul, for giving your driving
Thank you.
motifs.
Thank you.
With this, we're closing our small talk today. Hope there was something interesting for the audience. Also, we are considering running similar
Mm.
small talks with all the other team members. If you believe we should cover anything in specific, you have questions, critics, or just want to reach out, yeah, make use of the links in the description below. We're open. We would love to hear from you. And yeah, let's be better people and live what was that, full life with
Full life,
all
yes.
its
With everything. Everything is needed.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Georgi, and I'm here today with the other Georgi from our team.
It's good that we rehearsed it.
Hello, my name is Georgi, part of Digiburn's team. Today, I'm having Georgi, who is another member of our team. Hello.